Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Wow, another statement from Agit Kabayel. Absolute systematic destruction of the Cuban contender Frank Sanchez. What presented as a 50-50 like fight from two highly rated contenders was a one-sided affair. Agit Kabayel came out strong, applied pressure, and never let Frank Sanchez breathe. And all that pressure, the body work, it paid off because Frank Sanchez by the fourth round was looking in dire straits. And ultimately this one ended in the seventh round. You had Frank Sanchez dropped twice by body shots. And really it did look like it was going to be over pretty shortly after the first one, and he couldn't beat the count. So Agit Kabayel, another massive win for his career. The tactics were on point. He was on Frank Sanchez right from the get-go, and the first round was really the only competitive round. Arguably, you could have given it to Sanchez. I did. But after that, it was all Kabayel all the time, and you had him just dominating the fight. He was on him like white on rice, didn't let him breathe, didn't let him have any respite, and he was continually throwing body shots, right hands, sometimes just touching the body, but keeping busy, throwing a lot of shots. He had a good jab, the right hand was on point, and Frank Sanchez didn't really have a plan B. His plan A seemed to be, in the second round, just sort of fall to the ropes, a little bit of movement, but try to lay on the ropes and fight off the ropes. And while he's normally a good counterpuncher, he didn't have anything for Agit Kabayel today. A dominating performance by the German, who really the last couple of fights of his career, after years of fighting very sparingly, sort of waiting on the outside, these Saudi cards have reinvigorated his career. So I'm all back in on the Agit Kabayel train. You know, I was a big Kabayel supporter in the sort of 2017 to 2020, but he just wasn't fighting enough. And I sort of was just like, man, what's he doing with his career? But he is back, and he's announced himself with another massive performance. Not only has he dominated Aslanbek Makhmudov, he's now also dominated Frank Sanchez. So there was a WBC elimination on the line. So, you know, if the belts scatter, Agit Kabayel could be in line to fight for the WBC title. But I guess what's next, potentially if the belts stay together, if Fury and Usyk have a second fight, you know, he needs to stay busy. He's and obviously with this big stage and the millions of dollars, I'm sure, that are on the line, I'm sure he'll be willing to take other competitive fights. And in the form that he's in and what he's showing us, you know, he's a tough knight for anyone. He's not going to be a guy that's going to be dominated by anyone, I wouldn't think. I mean, you have Frank Sanchez, who has some pop. He's got a good right hand, just couldn't deploy it. Agit Kabayel just, you know, didn't have any effect on him at all. But the what next could potentially involve Joseph Parker. He actually said on the broadcast, he was on the DAZN call, that that could potentially be his next opponent. So perhaps he knows something that we don't, and that's a fight that had been mooted, Parker versus the winner, because really he's out there at the moment without a chair. The musical chair sort of stopped, and he didn't get a rematch with Zhang Jilei. Obviously, he was calling out Anthony Joshua. Joshua is currently spoken for. He's going to be fighting someone else. So Parker versus Kabayel, that's a really tough fight. So, you know, and these guys, similar attributes as well. I think Kabayel's probably the better body puncher and perhaps the better inside fighter, but it would be somewhat a mirror, sort of similar dimensions, similar power, similar skills. It's a really tough fight to call if they have that one. Another potential option you could look at, I mean, let's face it, there's been a Who Needs Them club in the past number of years. You've had the likes of Frank Sanchez, Aslanbek Makhmudov, Agit Kabayel, and others like Martin Bakole who've been in it. There's been a couple of other names you can probably think of, guys that, you know, are there or thereabouts, ready for a big shot, but no one's giving them the opportunity. This Who Needs Them club has been kind of taking each other out. You've had Kabayel take out Makhmudov. You've had Kabayel take out Sanchez now. Will we end up getting a fight with Martin Bakole versus Agit Kabayel? Great fight. Love to see it. And a much more dangerous fight in terms of punching power for Agit Kabayel if he gets caught by Martin Bakole, who's also, like Kabayel, a very good body puncher. And the body punching aspect of Kabayel has been so strong in these recent fights, and at a high level in the heavyweight division, not a lot of guys throw body punches consistently, but Agit Kabayel is one of them, and he is an elite body puncher, and I think deservedly you would have to say you have to consider him in your top 10 and probably closer to the top 5 now. What is he, top 6 or 7 in the world based on what we've seen in his past couple of fights? I mean, these sorts of rankings that you give fighters, they're always moving. It's a moving feast. It's a living thing that changes all the time. But on the strength of what we're seeing, he deserves a title shot. He deserves an opportunity. Whether he gets it, another question. But yeah, dominated Frank Sanchez. What did you make of this fight, and what is next for Agit Kabayel? Drop a comment loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.